A wet track greeted 40 drivers and over 100,000 fans, so the 1973 Daytona 500 started under yellow.
Fastest qualifier, Buddy Baker, is on the pole. Pete Hamilton alongside. That makes it Dodge Plymouth up front. Then it's Cale Yarborough, Gordy Johncock, Herschel McGriff, Richard Petty, and A.J. Foyt. The green flag waves and Buddy Baker in the Dodge number 71 breaks out into the lead.
13 caution laps dried out the track, and then it was finally time for wide open throttle. Pole sitter Buddy Baker and 1968 champion Cale Yarborough went at it immediately.
Cale Yarborough in the Monte Carlo 11 is pushing Baker every foot of the way. They're setting a tremendous pace and clocking laps at over 188 miles an hour.
1970 champion Pete Hamilton was the first mechanical victim that day, suffering a blown engine after only 33 laps. Gordon Johncock started in the third row, another IndyCar driver looking to win at Daytona. He was gone right after Hamilton, but in May his season would improve as he won the first of his 2 Indianapolis 500s. His sponsor in those wins was STP, backers of Richard Petty. Country star Marty Robbins, a part-time stock car driver, was making his Daytona debut. He may have won a Grammy for El Paso, but there would be no hardware for him at Daytona after he hit the wall coming off turn 4 into the tri-oval.
Baker's out in front with clear sailing. Meanwhile, Yarborough and Petty have to move up through the traffic.
The King had led briefly before the caution, and now he battled for second with Cale Yarborough, back in NASCAR full-time after spending a couple of seasons on the IndyCar circuit. With Junior Johnson's preparation, Yarborough's Chevrolet was keeping up with Baker's Dodge. But even though Yarborough led 25 laps, Baker seemed to have the edge all day. And ultimately, Buddy Baker led 156 of the 200 laps.
On the 130th lap, the leader is still Buddy Baker in the Dodge number 71. Cale Yarborough second in the Chevy 11, with Petty in the Dodge 43 running third. Yarborough tries Baker high and low. His Chevy can run with the Dodge, but he doesn't seem to have the power to pass Buddy.
When John Utzman's engine spewed oil on the track, everyone headed for the pits. But with over 50 laps remaining, one more fuel stop would be required to make it to the checkered flag. Once again at Daytona, pit strategy might be the determining factor. Cale Yarborough's engine finally expired after 156 laps. Baker and Petty would fight it out from this point on. Baker was clearly faster, but Petty just wouldn't go away.
On the restart, Baker is first. 4 cars back, Petty is second, with Bobby Isaac third. Richard fires past the slower cars, picks up his pace, and begins closing the gap on Buddy Baker. '15, Bobby Isaac holds on to third, with Dick Brooks in the Dodge number 6 running a close fourth. With Cale out of the race, Petty takes up the challenge and works Baker over on every inch of the racetrack. But both drivers know they haven't enough fuel to go the distance. Both cars must pit one more time.
Petty suddenly ducked in for fuel with 11 laps remaining. The Petty Enterprises team executed a nearly perfect pit stop. 1 lap later, Baker followed suit, but the King had gotten a little edge and was now ahead of Baker by a few seconds. Baker knew he could catch him until...
Suddenly, it happened. Entering turn 3, Buddy Baker just blew the belly out of his Hemi, and the Dodge that led most of the race had the fastest time, and with only 6 laps to go, looked destined for victory lane. Now heads for the garage, out of the race. Down off the high bank, 4th turn, onto the tri-oval, and the Petty Blue flies under the checkered flag, winner of the 15th annual Daytona 500. Bobby Isaac finished second with Dick Brooks third, A.J. Foyt fourth, and Herschel McGriff fifth.
194 laps were all that Buddy Baker's engine lasted. Nobody else was close. Richard Petty won the 1973 Daytona 500 by 2 laps, the largest margin of victory ever. It was his second win in 3 years in the Great American Race and his 4th overall. More Daytona 500 wins were on the horizon for the King.